Thank you for always having me. I am encouraged that you take the time to listen to me and you keep listening. I love your encouraging remarks. Thank you for the comments. Keep them coming, keep them rolling. I am encouraged by it. Welcome again to this session on how to identify satanic operations, especially in the spirit realm. It's a journey we are into. Sit tight. Let's take off and fly.
Chika, ossai-ugbah, believes that there is more to life than what you can see or prove by science. He is a pastor, an author, adaptive leadership teacher, and coaches people in life mastery and spiritual intelligence.
Below Satan are the principalities. In Ephesians 6:12, Paul calls them principalities, which actually means the first ones. The first ones. The principalities are made up of 4 spirits: Leviathan, Belial, Apollyon, and Beelzebub. Principalities are made up of 4 spirits: Leviathan, Belial, Apollyon, and Beelzebub. Each of these has a line of activities, and their activities are streamlined according to the demons that have been attached to each of them. The principalities don't go to war. If you are engaged in spiritual warfare, you are hardly in contact with these 4. They are strategists. They are not the field commanders. They are those who design, devise, and develop stratagems that have to be carried out by the field commanders, who are the powers in conjunction with their ground forces, who are the rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places. The principalities, the first is Leviathan. Leviathan, legend says, is a whale-like snake spirit that has 7 heads. Someone may say folklore. Not too long in Colombia, physically, a snake was seen having 7 heads. I mean, physical snake having 7 heads. Remember, I had said, and I keep stressing, that whatever is physically has always been spiritually. So we have Leviathan, a snake-like spirit that has 7 heads and lives actually in the water regions of the world. The aim or the goal of Leviathan is actually to quench spiritual fire. Leviathan has the capacity to launch its demons into churches that are doing well. And these demons can actually be very patient when they dock in those churches. They travel around through water regions in ships that look like crocodiles. And these ships that look like crocodile actually carry them all around the world. Wherever they dock, they spend not less than 6 months in understudying the church that they have been sent into, or the fellowship group or ministry where they have been sent into. And once they strike, they leave immediately. Let me repeat. Once they strike, they leave immediately. They often target heads of ministries, heads of departments, heads of groups, heads of cells. And why do they target them? It is based on the satanic philosophy of strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. This is why you have to pray more for your pastor, for your general overseer, for your president or the superintendent of your ministry or church. You have to pray more for your cell leader, your house church pastor, your area pastor, your regional pastor. You have to pray more for them, because as the arrowheads of ministries and church groups, they are directly in the line of fire by satanic forces, especially by Leviathan. Especially by Leviathan. Leviathan will do everything possible, because that is the charge given to it by Satan. Leviathan is described in 1 Enoch. In 1 Enoch 60:7-8 as Dunadian. That's what it's called. A spirit that lived east of Eden. Can you find some parallels? Can you find some parallels? Leviathan is described as Dunadian in the apocryphal book of 1 Enoch as the one who lived east of Eden. Leviathan is called the crooked piercing serpent by MacGregor Matthias. In his book, Abramelin, that was the name of the book, Abramelin. Leviathan was called the piercing serpent. Remember I said, what Leviathan is in charge of rules the realm of the rivers and the waters. A snake-like spirit that has 7 heads. Under Leviathan, so Leviathan sends out special water commandos against churches that are on fire to pollute them spiritually with various kinds of entertainment that has been discussed and approved at the North Atlantic Council. Next to Leviathan is Belial, the demon called Belial. The term Belial in Hebrew actually refers to someone who is worthless, a worthless being. Belial is a spirit of propaganda, a spirit of lies. If you have read your Bible, 1 Kings 22, remember Ahab? When he was to go to war against the Philistines in Ramoth Gilead, the discussion was, what will push Ahab to go and die? And a spirit appeared and said, I will. Belial, I will. How? I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of his prophets. And 400 prophets of Ahab all lied at once, supposedly thinking they were speaking by the Spirit of God. Belial had gone into operation through his spirit. Belial is what 1 John 4:6 refers to as the spirit of error. Belial, as a lying spirit, is in charge of destroying churches, ministries, and ministers through propaganda. As the spirit of hell, Belial was the one that stirred up Jeconiah and his brother, Egyptian sorcerers, to stand against Moses and Aaron. Remember when Moses came, cast down his rod, and that rod became a serpent. Egyptian sorcerers also did the same. Belial was the one that inspired them. Belial places clergy killers in every church. Clergy killers, pastor killers, ministry killers. And what are these ones in church to do? Propaganda. Stir up lies and lying spirit, to defame, to tear down the minister. And instead of the minister getting focused in the ministry that God and grace has released into his hands, he spends his time trying to douse and quench fire stirred up by propaganda against him. It is a demon of shame. It is a demon of lying and deceit. It is responsible for turning ministers into atheists, making them unbelievers and money-centered. It is the spirit that stirred up Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, to go ask Naaman for worldly material things after Naaman had refused it. Belial is the ruler over the spirit of Mammon. Wow. And so, you shouldn't be surprised when someone becomes violently incensed to tear down and pull down a minister. Such one is incensed, stirred up, filled by the spirit of Belial, who has been commissioned to carry out that activity physically here on earth. Next to Belial is the demon called Apollyon. Apollyon looks like a scorpion. It is also called Abaddon in the book of Revelation. Apollyon or Abaddon is the spirit of persecution, torment, intimidation of Christians anywhere and everywhere. It creates spiritual death and lays spiritual mines of spiritual disaster on the path of Christians. If you have ever watched John Bunyan's Pilgrim Progress, Apollyon appeared as the foul fiend who assaulted Christians on his pilgrimage through the valley of humiliation. That is the character of Apollyon. It is the angel of the pit. It is the angel of spiritual death and destruction. It attacks the spiritual vegetation of every Christian to make your life to become spiritually dry. And when your spiritual vegetation becomes dry, you are no longer nourished. Right in the spirit realm, as you lift up yourself in worship and in prayer, you find yourself in struggle because it has commissioned its ground forces to carry out its own command concerning you and your spiritual life. Apollyon is the angel, the demon, the principality in charge of spiritual death by creating spiritual landmines or spiritual mines on your way. Once you become aware of the activities of Apollyon, you win. Knowing that wilderness, that spiritual dryness was created by darkness at the time it did to make you vulnerable. That should push you to pray the more. That should push you to ministry the more. Even when physically you don't appear to be gaining any nourishment. Next to Belial is the demon called Beelzebub. Beelzebub, the god of the Ekronites. Legend says he's like a bat. Other legends say he is half man, half spider. He flies at the speed of light. Beelzebub is in charge of witchcraft and Wiccan activities. Beelzebub also is in charge of sorcery. Beelzebub is in charge of curses. Every demon that lays a curse is under the charge of Beelzebub. Beelzebub carries out things in the celestial plane, rules, in quotes, the celestial waves. Beelzebub is the one that rules at Halloween season because of their taste for blood, waking up vampires to seek blood. Note this. When the witch kills someone, the witch doesn't drink the blood. The witch eats the body, but submits the blood to Beelzebub. To gain that blood ascendancy, blood banks are established in specific places to collect blood that is brought to the annual council of Satan by Beelzebub, the chief blood collector. If you find a city, a town, or a village where road accidents are very common, that place might just be a spiritual blood bank where blood is gathered by Beelzebub, and road accident becomes the means to gather blood that will be submitted to the Alpha and Omega Council of Satan. Therefore, don't think that the things that cause the accidents are physical. They are spiritual, because the blood quota has to be reached that has been assigned by the council of Satan. Remember, understanding satanic operations in the spirit realm empowers you the more to live actively and aggressively in the spirit realm against the things that manifest physically. At the head of this chain is Satan, who acts as the commander-in-chief. Between the principality and powers in this hierarchy is the Alpha and Omega Council, the highest decision-making body made up of 24 spirits. And what is discussed principally at this council is what to do against the spread of Christianity and against the church. In alignment to the Alpha and Omega Council is the North Atlantic Conference that takes place in Atlantis, held once every 2 years, made up of the queens of the coast of the 7 seas and the 5 oceans of the world. And the things that are discussed at the North Atlantic Council that takes place in Atlantis border on cosmetics, fashion designs and models, and the trend of entertainment. The goal is to gradually, indirectly, bring the world into bondage under service to Satan through the things that people love. So behind every fashion model is an inspiration either of light or of darkness. But you have to be aware of what inspired it, not to become wrapped up or enveloped by the dark spirit that might have inspired it. First, in the hierarchy of the operations in the satanic realm are principalities made up of 4 spirits. Leviathan, who is a snake-like spirit that rules in the water region, having 7 heads, sends spirits into churches to quench the fire in those churches. And they don't mind. They are very patient. They travel around in their ships that look like crocodiles. Next is Belial, a lion spirit, the spirit of shame, the spirit of disgrace, the spirit of deceit that targets heads of missions, ministries, fellowships and groups. Next is Apollyon, the scorpion-like spirit, and followed by Beelzebub, the spirit in charge of witchcraft, sorcery, and weekends. Whew. Whew. I guess you've been saying that was hot. Of course. This teaching on identifying satanic operations in the spirit realm has been, whew. Watch out for the next video. Now, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscription button now, today, and turn on the notification bell. As you watch out for the next video, keep safe. God bless you.